Information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Welcome to episode 245 of the Hmbt podcast. Let's talk about money today. I'm joined by Michael Hession. He is with Private Banking Strategies, and he's an authorized practitioner of infinite banking concepts. We're going to find out what all that means. Michael, thank you for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
My pleasure, Hank. Thanks.
It's always great to talk about what entrepreneurs, business people, and professionals need to be doing. And a lot of times I call them out on making videos, sending emails, creating content. But lately there's been some episodes where I'm talking about money because right now during the pandemic, there's a lot of concern around money. People are losing money. Some people are raking in the dough because maybe they're selling a product or service that's actually very popular right now. If you're making masks, you're probably making some money right now. But it's great to have you on today to talk about what people need to be doing with their money. And the first question I want to ask you is, how can the listeners make their money work for them? So if they do have some money or they're worried about their money, what do they need to be doing to make the money work for them?
Well, there are a lot of different options, but I think that one of the best is something that we teach people how to do, and that is to start to think and operate and run your finances in a similar fashion to what banks do. That's why we say be the bank, and that's why it's called infinite banking concepts. And it's just one of those things that no one thinks about. We're certainly not taught it. I just happened to come across it a few years ago when I was with my first insurance company, and I heard this. I think it was a podcast about this, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So it's when you learn how to run your finances in a similar fashion to banks, it's very easy. There's no market risk, and then you can do whatever you want with the money. It's like the ultimate. You've heard that phrase, "Pay yourself first."
Yeah.
To me, it's one of the ultimate examples of pay yourself first, and then you don't lose control of it. Then do whatever you want with it.
So what are the ways that you can be the bank? And actually, I think that's a great title for this episode. It's going to be the bank, and that's what we're going to name it. But what do I need to do if you're saying I need to be the bank? It's not that I'm just going to take money and stuff it under my mattress, right? So I have it, and I need to probably do some things with it. So what are the things to do that's in order to be a bank? Like I know banks have loans, they have CDs, they offer you checking accounts, stuff like that. But if you're talking about being the bank, what is it that I need to be doing?
So what we do is it's a very kind of old school sort of thing. It's utilizing a particular type of whole life insurance from mutual companies, meaning that they're not publicly traded. So there's no market risk in that regard, because anytime a company goes public, they are really beholden to shareholders above and beyond anyone else. So we don't use them. And these mutual companies, when you have contracts with them, you are in essence the owner of the company. The people who manage the company, they just are really stewards, but the policyholders own the company. And so when you start to put your money in them, it's very safe. They're guaranteed growth within the policies, and it grows tax-free. You access it tax-free, and it's just tremendously beneficial. So that's what we talk about when we say be the bank, to start to do that. So it is fully underwritten life insurance, but a specific number of companies that we use. We probably have 6 or 8 that we prefer. They've all been around for over 100 years. That's another important component, is they've been through the ringer. The oldest one we use is Mass Mutual, and they've been around since before the Civil War. So you think about a company that's been through civil wars, depressions, wars, world wars, and all kinds of things, and they're still doing fine, and they've made it through. And so that's why we use them, because they have a long track record of being successful through the ups and downs. And in large part, they have zero stock market exposure.
So what you're saying in essence is you're taking your money and you're funding the insurance programs and you're making money off of it, right?
Yeah, it gets a little more complex than that. You have to set up in a certain way where a percentage of your premium becomes available to borrow against and put to work. The first policy my wife and I did was about 5-6 years ago, and we had some high credit card debt. So we were able to, a portion of the premium that we put into it, we were able to tap into right away within a couple of weeks. And we, in essence, bought some high interest credit card debt. that was at like 18%. So to the credit card company, all they saw was that, oh, we just paid off a credit card. But what really happened, because we took it out of our system first, we didn't lose control of that money. And it gets a little more complicated, but that's how banks operate. They're always putting their money to work. So it's really important, whereas you mentioned before, like sticking your cash under the couch or something, or that's fine, except that your money is not doing anything for you. It's just sitting there safe, but not doing anything. So we want to create leverage for ourselves. It's just hard to get by if you don't have some way to leverage your money. It's tough to get out of the grind.
Right.
You
So if
know?
I run a business, or even, personally, I have money maybe in 401k, in the stocks, mutual funds, in my checking account, a savings account,
Mhm.
maybe I have some cash lying around. What are the most important things I should be doing with my money right now in regards to, say, all of them or just some of them?
I would say learn how infinite banking works and start to put your money in there first, because of the guarantees and the safety. And then we take people through it. It's a real process, a learning process. One of my favorite, I think it's a parable, and I'm not sure it's been assigned to various people. Old, I think the first the Old Testament, I think, and I've heard other things, but the idea of, teach, give him, what is it? Give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish and he eats for the rest of his life. That's what this is about. So it's in the world of finance. It's like, okay, just take the time to learn how to do this. It's not hard. It's just different. And then you can just, once you know how to do it, you can do it over and over and over again. You don't need that other stuff. You really don't.
Right.
That whole industry was created, 401ks started really in the 70s, mutual funds earlier than that. And it's just been this move towards stock market related things over time. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but what it does do is it puts all the risk on the individual. So their money is being managed by somebody and they're at risk. People managing it get fees no matter what happens. Um, and you don't have to do that. You don't have to play that game. It's just there are other options. And I think doing this is one of the best options that I've ever run across.
So even I don't know about IBC or infinite banking concepts, and there's probably a lot of listeners that might not know what that is. And maybe,
Mhm.
there's that trust factor. There's the KLT, know, like, and trust. You have to know, like, and trust something or someone before you
Mhm.
do business or invest, because investing, you need to really trust what you're doing with your money. Uh, Therefore, if I had my money in a 401k, interest bearing savings or checking account, you know, what is the main benefit of moving over there? Is it the amount of money you make, or is it just the safety of your money and you can pull it out with less penalties? What is the major reason that I should look into this more? Maybe talk to you about it.
Yeah. No, good. This is a good question. So, yeah, it's everything. It's the safety of it. It's the privacy of it. It's the access to your cash. So, for example, I mentioned before that first policy that we did when I wanted to tap into the what's called the cash surrender value. That grows at our benchmark for the growth in that part of the policy is about 7%. So you could think of it if there was a savings account that you could get through a bank that grew at 7%, and they don't. It doesn't exist. That you could tap into, and you could tap into it, but you wouldn't lose if you took money out of it. It's not like you're just taking money and it's not still growing. In these contracts, when you access the money, it's still growing in there as if you didn't take it out because it's a policy loan against the cash value backed up by the death benefit. And the reason these companies do it is because they're all on the hook for a death benefit, right? So if I had taken a loan out and I passed away, they would just subtract it from the death benefit. So for them, it's a very safe because they're on the hook for this death benefit at some point, right?
Right.
So it's safety and something growing at a guaranteed 7% with the dividends and everything. And then when you really learn how to close that loop and stop outflow of money and turn it into inflow, just the yield on your money can just blow away anything you can get in the market, and there's no market risk. And then you can also I've got 6 of these policies. I have one on my daughter, 2 on my wife, 2 on me, and one more. I think no, another third one on my wife. I'm going to do another one on my daughter, so it can become an intergenerational thing too, where my daughter's policy, it's on her. We own it. It's part of our banking system. I'm teaching her how it works, and eventually I can hand it over to her. She's 21 now, and say in 10 years or so, she could have it could be like $1 million tax-free money available for her to tap into. And it's just extraordinary. And that, so when it's all these things, it's the tax-free part, the compounding growth, the guaranteed growth. It's completely private. I was starting to say, when I took out a policy loan to pay that debt down, they never asked me what it's for. You take a loan out from a bank, they want to know what it's for,
Right.
what's your collateral, how are you going to back it up. It's none of that. It's your money. They just say, okay, how much do you want? We'll send you a check. And they never put you on a payment program. They do start to charge a simple interest rate that's low. It's usually 4 or 5%, but they never hound you. So it's just, there's all these different pieces of it just to make it a really beautiful vehicle to control your cash flow and grow your money too. You can, like I said before, you can do whatever you want with it. If you really love to invest in the market or trade or something, fine, but put it in your system first and then go out and do what you got to do. People, for funding housing, if they want to do some real estate investing, but put it in your system first, put it in your own private bank first, and then do what you want to do with it. And so
That
that's,
was that was a lot right there.
it was.
Now I heard you, I was listening, but it's like hearing somebody like how to do something complex, like a series of steps. You're not going to remember everything. Therefore,
No.
I recommend, if folks are interested in this, and you should be, is learning more by talking to Michael, because it sounds like it's a good idea to do something. And right now, with what's going on, everybody's adapting, right? And doing different things. It is time to take a risk. It is time to develop challenges and do some things differently, because there's a lot of people losing money in the stock market and with mutual funds as well. Not really mutual funds, maybe. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I know that some folks that I know have pulled their money out of the market, and they lost 20-30% of their valuation, which really sucks. So right now, the people I do stuff their money under the mattress are probably laughing at everybody else, but they're not making any money on that money, but their money's safe, right? They didn't lose any of it, but they also didn't gain. So look into some new ways that you can actually grow your money that's not really that risky. And IBC sounds perfect, and talking to Michael would be great. So Michael, if people wanted to reach out to you, they wanted to have a deeper level conversation over plenty of coffee, because sounds like you need to stay awake and listen to that conversation and really understand it, and then work with you on that. How can people get in touch with you?
They can, I could leave, my email contact if you'd like, yeah, mhession64@gmail.com. I'd give you my private banking strategies one, but it's really long.
I can always drop that in the show notes too.
Yeah. And, yeah, just reach out to me. And we have so this whole thing started with Nelson Nash, who wrote this book back in 2000 called Becoming Your Own Banker. The funny thing is, like you just said, Hank, it sounds new, but it's actually not. Like I said before, these companies that we use have been around for 100 plus 150 years. People back in the day, especially the early part of last century, used whole life insurance to hold their wealth. A lot of them did. A lot of them were able to come out of the Depression because they had their money in these things and not in the stock market. So it's not old. It's just kind of forgotten. It happens.
Right.
New things, shiny things come up, and people sort of forget about. I mean, there's still like probably 500,000, 1 million people out there doing what I'm doing for themselves. It's just that the conversation is that it's always about 401ks, and so it's not like a new thing. It's just we're kind of reintroducing it to make sure people understand that they can do it. So they can go to www.privatebankingstrategies.com. That's our website,
Okay.
and a little window will pop up for a book offer. So my mentor wrote sort of a condensed version of Nelson's book called How to Grow Rich with the Secret Banks Don't Want You to Know. It's like 60 pages. You can just name and email address, and we'll send you a copy, PDF. It's a great way to start. I often say, look, just read this book, and then we'll have a conversation, because you'll have a ton of questions. But you'll be able to sort of start to sort through all this stuff. So that's a great way. If you do that, just make sure you put in a little note that, put Michael down, so they'll know that you heard me on this podcast. That's a
Right.
great way to do it. It's a free book. We won't barrage you with emails and stuff like that. It's just, we'll send you the book in a PDF version. That's a great way to start. And I'm happy to just have a chat too.
Right. And it's important, folks. I want to advise you, be the bank and invest some time in talking to Michael to learn about how you can make your money work for you, because it sounds like it's a great plan. It's been around, but it just sounds like it's, that type of investing has been around, but it just sounds like it's not the most popular one. But, it can make you money and it's safe. I definitely recommend looking into that. But until next week, folks, make sure you check me out on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Play Store, as well as on YouTube. This will be also recorded on video on YouTube. And until next week, happy marketing, folks.